Don't forget who you are. Do-do-do-do-do. Don't forget who you are. Oh my gosh, y'all, song has been playing in my head for weeks. And I've been thinking about not only just not forgetting, right? Not forgetting who we are. But what I really want for us is to remember, to really remember who and what we are as divine emanations of the Holy One. This holy, blessed one that has birthed itself into all of creation is the very spark of creation in all of life. That is you, that is me, that is every creature, that is every atom and molecule. And not only is it important not to forget it, but maybe we need to remember and discover it more truly and more wholly. I am Reverend Amani Malaika, and that's the series I want to get into for the month of July. And I just want you to know that this series is an invitation to being more consciously, period. To being, to consciously be who you are, wholly, beautifully, completely. And then to consciously become more and more and more and more of that. So that's what this series is really about. This is what I want to invite you into. And I want you to know that you don't have to do it alone. If you are in the Albuquerque area, please join us on Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. If you are participating online, go to our website, abqcsl.org, and find out about some small groups that are going on Zoom, small groups we've got in person locally. And I just want you to know that this community is a community of practice where we get to come together and consciously be and become the truth of who we are. And because we do that, we transform our own lives and the communities we belong to. And it is so, so good.
Backing up a little last week, and something that struck me in Amani's talk, and see how it landed with you and what you might have done with that this week as events have unfolded. And she encouraged us to not, what she call it, CNN binge or news obsess. How's that been going? All right, so let's start. One thing that's almost perpetually on my mind from a spiritual perspective is I'm always on the lookout for not bypassing. You know, I think in what I know of our philosophy, we tend to do that quite a bit by, not on purpose, but it can happen. You know, kind of the la 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 la, everything's fine. It's not fine, you know, but we can be with it, and that's. So anyway, I realized as she said, you know, how are you doing with this news binging? I had really come a long way in the last, 5 or 6 years, to the point where I really forgot there was even a debate that night and didn't watch it and didn't worry about it. But somehow I got hooked when I saw a clip of what transpired that night. And I went into just panic, free fall. And so when Amani brought it up, I was like, I need to sit with this. I really need to sit with this. So I just want to maybe start with a little tiny exercise of just, if you feel compelled, how does this feeling to you right now? In reality, the state of what has happened and what has happened yesterday and what continues to happen, what are some of the emotions that you're sitting with? How is it making you feel? Sad. Exhausted.
Fear.
Disappointed. Resentful.
Fear. Scared.
Right. Frustrated. Depressed. Yeah. Motivated. Right. So I sat in that space on, I think it was Tuesday, and I'm like, okay. Oh, the second practice that I want to do is another one that I think is fundamental, and I want to share with you right now because I think it's really going to transform, hopefully, the room, and we can have the rest of this time together in a slightly different space. So Another one of my favorite things of science of mind is bringing science together with mind in a way. And we have this capacity, and I'm probably a broken record to those of you that know me well, but you have this gift and this capacity to shift at any moment out of fear, frustration, depression, all of that. And it's moving. You have the ability through your breath to move your body from your sympathetic nervous system to your parasympathetic nervous system. And I think I'd really like to do that right now, just to take, because it only takes 2 minutes. So I'm going to keep the clock in my head. I'm just going to be telling you to inhale, hold, and exhale. And I'm doing this at a rhythm that, according to Dr. Weil, who is one of my heroes, this shifts you. This actually physiologically shifts you from one state to the other. And I do it, especially nowadays. I find myself doing this quite often. So, all right, let's go. So, let's inhale through your nose and hold. And exhale through your mouth. And inhale through your nose and hold. And exhale through your mouth. And inhale through your nose and hold. And exhale through your mouth. And one last time. Inhale through your nose and hold. And exhale through your mouth. It's a better room. I feel more comfortable. So anyway, there I am, recognizing that I've relapsed into this free fall of despair. And I'm like, up to that point, I wasn't in bypass, but I was just like, I cannot control who's on the top of a ticket. I cannot control all of these forces that are shifting around me. What I can control is exercising my capacity to love through the demonstration of my vote when that time comes, or how I'm going to be in my circle of influence, which we're going to get into a lot more today. But so I just sat with it, and I'm like, okay, Jeff, what is really going on here? And I identified that. It's like, what am I feeling? I'm feeling all of these things that you just shouted out, okay? And what are those feelings causing me to experience? And that was chaos. I was feeling like unmoored in chaos. And, right about the same time, somebody came on the air and said, chaos is our friend. And I'm like, oh, man. And so it put me into this place of, we are in deep shit. We're in trouble. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm catching myself again. And I'm like, is that true? So what is it, what I've learned as a practitioner is like, that's identifying that false belief. We're doomed. Is that true? No, probably not. So I was able to get out of that and go, okay, let's flip the script and say, okay, what is it that I'm really wanting to feel? So what is the opposite of fear? How do you want to feel? What do you want to feel?
Joy.
Joy. Peace. Harmony. Safety. Compassion. Trust. Love. There it was. I was waiting for that. I was going to make it go until I got to the love. All right. So now I'm landing in this space. Okay, so now what's mine to do? Not to obsess about the mental machinations of our president and what I don't know. I have no control over that. But I have the control over my capacity to be a stand for love and to be expression of love in my life. And so I'm landing on that spot. This, I think, was Tuesday. Right as I'm coming out, I was still in this practice. I was still in this prayer. and my phone rings, and I didn't take the call, and I turned it over, and it was Amani. And landing on my voicemail was, hey, I've had an emergency, and I'm having to go out of town, and I need somebody to do the talk. Are you up for it? Let me know. Click. So I look at this thing, and I'm like, oh, man. But I just was coming out of this epiphany. I was like, I've got this. I'm okay. So in my mind, I'm saying, as long as I don't have to talk about teenage LA fashion, I think I can do it. So she said, look at the notes and, make sure of the subject, make sure you're comfortable with it and let me know. So you heard what I was just sitting in. And so we get these little note packages for each week based on the theme. And our theme right now is courageous being and becoming, conscious being and becoming. And for this week, here were the notes that Amani had prepared. Being more alive, more in love, more you means being the way of more holiness, aka love, in your experience and in the greater experience. Going to the show, playing on the main stage. You have arrived. Then you get to be an influencer in the best sense of the word, a tone setter, a vibe maker. And then she left the term influencer in the definition, a person who inspires or guides the actions of others. I'm like, all right. So, and I sat with that, and I'm like, okay, can I do this? I haven't spoken on stage in quite a while. So, but it was so directly linked to what I had just sat with that I'm like, this is mine to do. She got me, I'm doing it. So, sitting with that, I'm like, okay, now I've got this mandate to be an influencer. So immediately that's bringing me, out of my comfort zone. I'm like, how do I influence anybody about anything? So the funny thing about influence is it's really an exercise in what? Kind of dynamics. Well, power, like to influence somebody, it's a power dynamic. So the problem with influence is as you get into it, you get drunk. People tend to get drunk on that power. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm going to get psyched up for Sunday, and I am going to pull out all the stops and become the biggest expression of love so that my bald head glows like a beacon and people can see it for miles around and butterflies come flying out of my chest. I'm going to do this. All right. Show of hands. How many people think that strategy is going to work? How many people think that is going to flip this election? My bald head and butterflies, the notion of butterflies. Probably not, right? It's not the way influence works at all. It's not the way influence works at all. So, this term, so right there and then I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk about LA teenage fashion. That's a better track for me to go down. So anyway, this term influencer, where do we hear that nowadays? Influencers, social media influencers, right? What a wacky world. I'm technically functional, with technology and everything, but I really struggle with taking the time that it needs to understand social media. I do in some ways, but it's just not my bag. But there are these people. You see them on commercials, you see them, young people. What are you? I'm a social influencer. And it's crazy. So what is their success based on in that realm? What is a social influencer dependent upon for their measure of success? Followers. And what do they want those followers to do? What's the followers' job? Likes. What other things? Comments. In the case of videos or views, subscriptions, all these things. But so, as an aside, I find it really comical in this larger society that you can have followers, and that's perfectly acceptable. But like in our walk, We always kind of joke about the term spiritual mind treatment. We sound like aliens when we do it, but if it wasn't social media and you said, I have 1,000 followers, it's creepy in some ways, right? Right. So anyway, back to the story. So, LA teen fashion. So I'm kind of embellishing this story a little. I've changed the name of the person and some of the details of the story, but this is a true story that actually happened to this LA teen fashion social media influencer. And it's a poignant example of what we're talking about with influence. So we'll call her Bree. We'll call her Brianna. Her name is Brianna, and she's an 18-year-old that lives in Malibu, California, part of a really well-to-do family, and she is all about the fashion. And so she gets, her smartphone when she turns 18, and she dials up a Instagram account, and she changes her name on that screen to Bree with 2 eyes, and she starts doing what Bree does, and she puts on an outfit and snaps a picture of her with the Malibu beach behind her. She goes down to Santa Monica at the pier by the Ferris wheel and some other outfit, and she's just wheeling and dealing, and she's starting to post. And all of a sudden, bloop, 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 followers. I've got 1,000 followers. She does a few more posts the next week. She's up to 50,000 followers. The next week, she's got 750 followers. Well, this goes on for a couple months, and our little Bree has got 3 million followers. True story. 3 million people. So, what happens to Bree? She goes, I am Bree, the fashion goddess. I am an influencer. I have arrived. So she goes online and finds a clothing provider who will work on contract. And she is like, I have 3 million people. They're going to love my stuff. Well, the interplay between her and her followers during that period of time was, here I am by the pier in my jellies from Jeffrey Baldwin, and here I am in my skirt from Marc Jacobs, and here I am in this outfit from Chloe. I had to look these names up, by the way, to be able to play with. So, and they're responding to her in kind. They're saying, "Wow, where did you get them?" And she would say, "Oh, I got these on Santa Monica Boulevard. I got this at Marc Jacobs on Wilshire. Thanks, great. Wow, you're amazing." And so now she arrives in this 3 million followers. And she contacts this company, and the company says, "Wow, Bree, congratulations. Yeah, let's do a little, we'll take you on as a client. Let's just do a little test so that we, know whether it's going to, be a good working relationship." So they go, "Okay, what have you got?" She goes, "Well, I had this really cool design for my Bree t-shirt. We'll just start with that." And they go, "Great. So we're going to make this t-shirt based on your drawing, and we're going to help you put it out. We're going to get the product for you, and you're going to market it through your empire. And let's say if you sell 50 shirts, we'll do a larger run and we'll launch this thing." And she's like, 50 shirts? Child, please, I got 3 million followers. So she goes home and puts on her new Bree t-shirt, snaps a picture, on Rodeo Drive with her in her Bree t-shirt, and says, "Hey everybody, this is my t-shirt." And then she just waits for those orders to roll in. The first night, crickets. 2 orders, 3 orders. Next day, she goes, "Oh, well, people just had to kind of absorb it and get their credit card, and it was late at night. We'll just see what happens the next day." The next day, tumbleweeds. She's up to 7 orders. So, long story short, this goes on for a few more days, and she does not get above 15 orders. And there are no butterflies coming out of her chest. Her head is not glowing. Her hair is not on fire. She is crushed. So, failure. She couldn't launch her line. She was mortified at all the support that she had given out to this legion of people, and no one bought her stuff. So this real story created a buzz in those internet research circles. Like, how could this woman who had this large army of people have no traction like that? Well, it turns out that it's because influence is not a wand. It's not a one person, one role wand. It's a sphere. That's why they call it sphere of influence. So nobody, to my mind, in the history of mankind has explained this phenomenon better than Malcolm Gladwell. If you're familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, in 2000 he wrote a book, The Tipping Point, and he described the three types of people that are needed in order for real change to occur in this way, to tip something. And let me read to you those. Well, I'll just explain them. So the first one is the salesman or the persuader. If you don't like the sales jargon, it's somebody to make the case for whatever it is that you're trying to tip. And yeah, so there's the role of the persuader. Then there's the connector, and the connector takes the importance of the use case and knows how to direct people in a way to make that happen. And then third is the maven, and the maven are the people that hold the knowledge base to get things done. So why was Bree able to get to 3 million followers just snapping pictures of herself? Unbeknownst to her, she had a tribe of influence, of salespeople, through fashion blogs, people in that industry, making the case to young girls who are interested in fashion, what's important and how to get the importance of, in their world, it's not important to me, but to looking good is feeling good, and you can create your own identity with fashion, and you can express yourself in all these different ways. And so people on blogs, social media blogs, those were the salespeople that were interfacing with legions of young girls that wanted to know how to be cool. But Bree didn't know that was happening. She just thought everybody was reacting to her snapshots, but they weren't. The salespeople were busy behind the scenes making that happen. And then so check out Bree, and then they would check out Bree, and Bree thought they were just reacting to her, but really what they were wanting was, how do I find Marc Jacobs, and how do I find my jelly shoes, and how do I find all these outfits that I want? And so Bree was actually a connector. Marc Jacobs and the store on Rodeo Drive and the Jeffrey Palmer website, those are the mavens because they have they're all about fashion. They're in that narrow, they're experts at fashion. So that's how she got there, was basically by the help of salespeople and mavens, and she operated. So then when she tried to do her own thing, she tried to do all three of those roles. And she's not a maven, and she's not a salesperson, and so she had nothing to connect. And so that enterprise failed. All right, so enough of teenage fashion. I'm exhausted. It's out of my wheelhouse. What I wanted to do is bring this around to where I started. Like, how do we make a difference in the world around what's going on in our consciousness right now? So, this tipping point, it's happening all the time. These connections between salespeople, connectors, and mavens are happening all the time. It happened in this community. Many of the people in this room participated in it, whether you know it or not. So Reverend Amani, literally since the time she took over as the minister of this congregation, has been a salesperson. She has been delivering messages. Despite the way you think it is, the way you were conditioned, the way you were raised to believe, that is not true. We live in a world of unlimited possibilities, right? We live in a world of unlimited possibilities. And then she started to introduce us to all of these concepts over the years we did soul care, this series called Soul Care, where we were learning how to, take care of ourselves. We've studied the radical act of rest as resistance. Do less. Wow, that was hard for me to grab onto, because I was taught that my worth was generated by what I did for people. So she's been doing this for a long time. So I got caught up in that as and so her role in this little story of the tipping point of ACSL is she's been a wonderful salesperson, making the case for us spiritually about what is ours to do and how to be and how to take care of ourselves and all of this. So I'm absorbing this at the same time that I have a broken back, and I had tore all of the tendons in both of my arms doing a project, and I'm like, she's got a point. I got to learn how to take care of myself. And so I'm searching for answers, and in in terms of my back, Western medicine recommended surgery, and then I went for a second opinion, and they said, no, that's inoperable. You really are, just stuck with what you are right now. So at the same time, Spirit's working behind the scenes, and I get to know my next door neighbor, Dr. Ellie Klein. And he starts saying, hey, what's going on with your back? And what's going on with your arms? And he was just finishing up his studies to become a doctor of Oriental medicine. And he goes, I really need people to work with. And I'm like, sign me up. I'm desperate. I'll take it. And so he and I really began to work together on a whole different paradigm of health. And in my mind, what I was doing was what my salesperson told me to do. Like, get your stuff together and live life fully. So, Ellie over here, I don't think I was patient one, but I was on one hand, and I'm working with him, and oh my God, I thought I was going to be incapacitated for the rest of my life. And he healed my arms within 2 weeks, my back in a couple months, and I am like mind blown. And I'm like, okay, in this case, I'm not the salesperson, and I certainly am not going to self-administer acupuncture needles to myself. So I'm not the maven. I'm a connector at this point because I have the experience of this. So I told my ex-wife, because I knew her aunt needed help, and so her aunt went to LA. And then I told Clarissa's mom, Alexis, and I told Joy Lynn, who was going through her first round of cancer at the time. And they became connectors. But all of us were, in this sphere of influence of Amani's, of Amani's guidance around what it was, how it was to be, spiritually connected. So the tipping point is through this community alone. I mean, Ellie's built a practice partially, he's got other, but I think there, at last count, there was something like 75, 80, 90 people have gone to Ellie through me, basically. So anyway, and the point of it all is not about building his practice or any of it. It's about connection, and it's about influence, and it's about how do we do what we say we want to do in this philosophy, which is to create a world that works for everyone, or to our mission statement is to be love in action, and to transforming lives, transforming communities. And so if we say that that's our mission, how do we do that? And this is really what is ours to do, is to identify in any situation. If you take this election, for example, what's yours to do? You're part of a sphere of influence. And trying to do it all or trying to do something you're ill-suited to is miscreating. So are you someone that wants to lay out the case for the opposite of we're doomed? Like, this is what is important. This is what is at stake in in this round of our election. And I'm not really here to advocate for one thing or the other. I think everybody knows where we stand, but is that yours to do? Or is it yours to do to connect people to make sure that they are comfortable voting and they know what they want to do? And is it to help them, connect them to the information that they need to make a great decision? Or is it for you to work at a polling place and be a maven and really learn how to, make it accessible for people to vote and to make sure that we're not suppressing anything? Those are just options in this case is what I'm getting at. So anyway, I started with this overwhelming thing of like, we're doomed. I know that's not the truth. I know that we are building, and we are through being love in action, we are creating the reality that we wish to see in the world. So, all right. So that's my. Oh yeah. So great. So what I wanted to do was just as a little practice, and then we're going to do another spiritual practice that I'll explain in a second. But I wanted to explain really quickly, ask some questions so that you can kind of identify which of these three that you feel is your predominant one. So connectors. Do you know a lot of people? Do you like people? Do you tend to remember people's names? Do you enjoy going to parties and meeting new people? Do you collect acquaintances? If you answered yes to the majority of these questions, you have connector traits. The strength of connectors is that they know and keep in touch with many people. Connectors are people who link us up with the world, people with a special gift for bringing the world together. Okay. Mavens. Do you enjoy reading junk mail? Do you seek out the specials in your local supermarket? Do you tend to watch trends and know what's in? Do you study the market before buying a new gadget? And do you tell your friends about special deals? If you answered yes to most of these questions, you have maven tendencies. Salesman. Do you find it difficult to sit when hearing good dance music? Do you have a loud laugh? Do you move your friends when you talk with them? Are you good at seduction? Do you like being the center of attention? If you answered yes to most of those, you might be a salesperson. And again, we all probably are parts of all of them, and it really just depends on the paradigm of the situation that we're trying to create change within. But I just thought it was fun to understand those three things and understand how they all work together to create change. All right, so for our practice today, one of my other new heroes, what I call accidental gurus, as I run into these things like we all do, is a man named Phil Stutz. And I don't know if anybody knows Phil Stutz. I've mentioned him in some of my spirit calls, but Phil Stutz is a psychotherapist that can't stand psychotherapy and has turned it on its head and brought real meaningful, accessible spiritual tools to his patients, and in doing so has transformed their lives. And I love them. So I want to kind of demonstrate one and just show you how easy it is to, when we're caught in, I know Marie won't object. She said, I need to be here today because I am in news obsession. So here's how to get out of it, or here's just one tool that's accessible to you to do that. Okay. All right, so this tool is called reversal of desire, okay? And it has to do with pain and, what do we say, fear. I lump those two things together. They're often inextricably connected in some way. But avoiding pain is a powerful habit. You get immediate relief when you defer something painful, but there's a long-term cost. Helpless regret at a life wasted. Since the consequences don't come until the future, the motivation to face the pain now isn't easy to find. If you've been avoiding something or are facing something painful, get out of your comfort zone and get life moving again with this tool called the reversal of desire. Okay, when do we use this? When you have to do something uncomfortable and you feel fear or resistance, use this tool right before you act. Or the second cue occurs whenever you think about doing something painful or difficult. If you use the tool every time you have these thoughts, you will build a force that will allow you to act when the time comes. Okay, so let's kind of return into that 4-7-8 space of expansiveness. Your parasympathetic system is in control. And this tool does require some visualization. I know that might not be your bag, but give it a try. So I'm going to cue you. Closing your eyes is probably a good idea if you're comfortable doing that. And let's see how it works. So first, let's face the pain. And I'm going to use fear interchangeably with that, pain and fear. Focus on the pain or fear you are avoiding. See it appear in front of you as a cloud. Silently scream, "Bring it on," and demand the pain. You want it because you know it has great value. Now move toward that fear or that pain. Scream silently, "I love pain," as you keep moving forward. Move so deeply into that cloud, into the pain, that you become indistinguishable. You become one with it. But keep moving forward. Now feel the cloud spit you out and close behind you. Say inwardly, "Pain, fear sets me free." As you leave the cloud, feel yourself propelled forward into a realm of pure light. Let's do it one more time. Focus on the pain or fear you're avoiding and see it appear in front of you as a cloud. Silently scream, "Bring it on!" to demand the pain. You want it because you know it has great value. Scream silently, "I love pain," as you keep moving forward. Move so deeply into that pain that you are one with it. And now feel that cloud spit you out the other side and close behind you. And say inwardly, "Pain sets me free." As you leave the cloud, feel yourself propelled forward into a realm of pure light. And that's how to move forward, despite the wackiness in the world. So I've enjoyed this time immensely with you. Thank you for indulging me, and hope you had a little fun.
I would like to take a moment to open prayer with each of you. If you would close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or relax for a moment with me, knowing that this space was created just for us. Thank you, Jeffrey. This moment was created just for us. It was in preparation days before today. And so it is with our lives. I am so grateful for this moment of time, this breath that we take together, this prayer, this space that we have together. I love the term gather. I love that we have gathered together. So special. Let's take a moment to extend our gratitude to those that we love that are not here today, those that are maybe far away, or those who have gone on to another dimension, our pets that have found a way into another life, hopefully awaiting us in immortality. Let us remember those we love that are unable to be here with us, the empty chair for those who have not yet found their way. Let us know how special it is to be alive today, this very precious day of life, this moment when we share one heart and one mind and one breath, one special, precious breath. Let us, in this moment, give gratitude for our beating heart and our breath that are gifts of the Spirit, the universe, the one Spirit that we are all part of, that we walk together with every day of our lives, that we can go into the garden of our faith knowing that we are not alone, that we always have one another, and we have always these special gatherings together. Let us take a moment in silence to remember those that we have lost. It is in divine grace that we say thank you, and so it is.
So it is.